Henry at Mowers and Blowers again. Today we're going to be working on my Yardman 4-wheel steering. I got this from my friend Nick over in Medford, and it didn't have an engine. He gave it to me without an engine. He also gave me this for free. This is a power mower engine made by Zhongshan, Chinese copy. And as you can see, with my fingers, I can turn it freely. I have taken the valve cover off to check the valves. They open and close normally. The piston is connected to the connecting rod. As I took the spark plug out, put a screwdriver in, and as I turned this, it did move in and out, right? But there's absolutely no compression. It's strange, you know? So I'm thinking about taking off the shroud, taking off the head, and checking out the condition of the piston and the bore, as well as the valves. Well, the valves we know open and close, but I mean, I couldn't really see them, you know what I'm saying? So, see the valves itself. So I might have to take the head off to see whether or not this thing is Dunsky, you know? So it's not attached to it. I just rusted it on here just to save space. But today I'm putting on the Joe Cardozo engine. I have it temporarily on this power washer frame so I can move it around. You know, it's very convenient because it's got a hole in there anyway, you know, so you can just shove an engine on there and move it around. It's a power washer frame is a great way to move engines around your shop without having to lift it. While going over this, right, I took this thing off and it looked really dusty and stuff. It's very oily right around that area. And then when I took this off, I saw that there was remnants of like a mouse nest. So I'm going to take that top engine cover off and then blow it out to see if there's any obstructions in the fins and stuff, you know, especially since I'm going to use this engine. I want to make sure that we don't have any major issues with it before I put it on, you know. So first we have to take this spinning cage off. This is mainly to deflect with air grass that comes up here. It's like a grass thing. And then it's that was 5/16, and now we've got 4 3/8 bolts to take the engine cover off. Wow, that's really on there. That doesn't have to be on there that tight. Man, oh man, that's tight. So, like I said, I got this from my buddy Joe Cardozo. He bought 2 engines. One he used for his snapper. They're supposed to work. He didn't try it, so I'm not going to hold him to that, you know. I'm just thankful that Joe thought of me after all that time, you know, because about a year or so, Jesus, about a year or so passed by. I want to be careful not to strip it. That would suck. But this is really on there. Yep. See that? Stripped. Sucks. What are you going to do? It's only an engine cover, you know what I mean? I want to hold it on there. Got another super small one on that side to hold the dipstick. Cletus, you dipstick!
Cletus? You know what you are? You're a dipstick. A 14-karat dipstick.
You saw, I was turning that bolt really slow. It was destined to break. It wasn't coming out. Of course, I probably could have used some penetrating oil if I was patient enough. Holy moly. Check that out. Disgusting. Looks pretty rough, fellers, I won't lie. Ugh. I'd be surprised if this engine ran flawlessly. A lot of Earl. A lot of Earl. And it looks like a lot of Earl. What does that tell you? Probably blown head gasket. Not looking good. Well, we'll see. Let me clear out that mouse nest, huh? You see that? It's a good thing I actually went and did that, because otherwise this thing would overheat sometime in the future. Got some nuts in here. Look how all this stuff is packed into the fins, you know what I mean? This is going to be a pain, because we get a flathead. I'm surprised more of these coils aren't chewed up more from the mice, you know, because they love to chew wires. This one a little bit, but it hasn't gotten to the inner wire yet, so it should be okay. Should be. Anyway, I'm going to get a flathead screwdriver and just go through each individual fin. Painstaking work, but it has to be done. Look what I got in the mail today. It's a compression tester. See? Stick that into the spark plug hole and crank it. If it's anything less than 50 psi, it's pretty much done. I got this on eBay for $10? $10 or $11. Yeah, that's cheap. I was going to get a leak down tester too, but that was like 20 something, and I really don't need it. I want to try this first. Anyway, so I got this, my favorite flathead screwdriver. It's long and thin. And you know, there's nothing to this. This is just, you know, if it's in here, get it out. And I really want to get it out because, well, you know, these fins act as, you know, like a radiator, you know what I mean? It helps cool the engine block as well as the engine head, cylinder head. And if it's all blocked up like that, air won't get through it and it'll overheat prematurely. And if engines overheat prematurely, the engine Earl breaks down. Engine's not cooled well enough. Too much heat will expand too much and cause the oil to almost boil. And with the oil boiling inside, it's not lubricating because of the viscosity of it, right? And then the pistons will stop moving as it'll rub against a wall, and from the momentum, connecting rods will break and it'll just seize. And that's why I have so many tractors without engines. Because people are running engines that have low motor oil, or bad motor oil, or they overheat prematurely because they don't know that there's a mouse nest under their cowl. So I've loosened up everything just with this. You know, you just want to loosen it up. Look at the crap that's here. I think this is like rat feces and stuff like that. Man. But it's black, you know. Trying not to breathe, only talking. I'm going to fire up that leaf blower that I did for my contractor, Walter, who was doing my driveway. The Husqvarna 125B. I'm going to test it to see if I did it, if my fix was not just a temporary fix and that it always will work and fire up. You always want to test your stuff, you know. This is filthy, man. Not the worst I've ever seen, but still. I don't, obviously with this situation now, I don't have high confidence that this engine is perfect. I have a feeling I'm going to have head gasket and some kind of leak, some kind of issue, you know. I just have a feeling. There's just a lot of oil everywhere on the bottom, you know. Hey, good thing I didn't pay for it, huh? And that's the chance you take when you go buy somebody's engine. Pay $100, $200 for an engine. Turns out it's bad. Unless you actually see it running before you pay, you just never know. Here's Walter's Husqvarna 125B. Nice. Unfortunately, it won't get out all of it, so I have to fire on my air compressor with one of those really thin nozzles. Clean your shit. The reason why you clean stuff is because if there's an oil leak, you can see it easier. And it's just good practice no matter what. There's a lot of oil buildup, guys. Lots of it. Got my air compressor fired up. It's fully charged up. So now I'm just gonna look at the amount of oil that I scraped off of that bottom shroud. I'm gonna blow under the flywheel too, because it'll compromise the charging if the stator and the magnets aren't clear. Just gonna find a little gap in here. I don't have to, but I'm just screwing with this. I want to at least drill out a hole so I can put a self-tapping screw in there. I have extractor bolts, but they don't work. See? Got these extractor reverse things. Tried them like 4 different times. They don't work. Don't grip. Jump. Just gonna drill this hole big enough so I can get a self-tapping screw in there. I mean, these are brand new bits, man. Why is it so difficult? I hate drilling. Alright, well finally we got it through, so I'm just going to take a self-tapping screw and pop it in there when I'm ready. See what I mean, fellas? I've just spent like over an hour doing this, and I haven't even put the engine on it yet. You know? There's just so many unknowns when it comes to buying used equipment. I should know. This has to be routed right here in the middle. So there's a little part here that comes out. And this metal thing has to be just right. What did I do with that little screw? Got that all taken care of now. As you can see, I put a self-tapping screw, small one there, went right in there. No problem. Of course, it's really not that necessary. It's just the cover, you know. Not extremely vital. Put this brass mesh thing back on. It's 4 5/16 screws. And just go in very easily. Of course, I lost the other one. Ah. And this one has compression. Good compression. All right. So you know what? I'm going to take this off. mind you, this has the separate choke cable and throttle cable, so I don't know how I'm going to adapt that to work, you know what I mean? It's kind of dirty, isn't it? Shouldn't I clean that? I really should. Yeah, just scrubbed it along with some of the chipping paint that's around it. But you see that hole there? That hole's not big enough to get a double stack pulley on there. This engine still has the double stack pulley attached to it. I have to put this on the side and get my impact out and get that double stack pulley off. Gotta put this on its side. I don't like heavy lifting. Alright, get my impact out and get that double stack pulley off. While you're underneath here, clean your shit. Damn, this thing is early. There's oil everywhere, man. I have a feeling the head gasket's blown. Just have a feeling. I've got a feeling. But you never know. The other reasons why it's so early. That's Earl. Early, not early. Might as well, I'm here. I will clean up as much as I can so that when the engine heats up and stuff, we don't misconstrue the burning of this oil as oil burning from the engine. Eh? You guys see that kid over there with the Toro? That Toro is a mowers and blowers machine. Had water in the gas tank. Carburetor had to be cleaned. It's been running great for like a year. First pull. I know, I don't service things. I don't work on anybody else's stuff. But my neighbors, you gotta take care of your neighbors. You know what I mean? Anyway, I got my electric impact out. This is a 5/8 socket. I should have just tried to turn it with my hand. Alright, so I got the pulley off, just came right off. Yeah, we've got some fitting issues here. Oil drain plug is above the steering. I'm gonna check the holes. You know what? It's muffler. Muffler's bent backwards so holes don't fit. So the muffler is, because this is an MTD and it had oh hell, that doesn't make any sense. So the muffler is pushed in too much, you know what I mean? So this needs to move up like an inch. I'm sorry, move back 2 inches. It's too forward, you know? So I'm gonna take the muffler off for now. And muffler bolts, it's almost impossible to get off without a lot of elbow grease. So I'm getting some penetrating oil from my friends at Lucas Oil Products. let that sit for a bit, let it percolate, and hopefully these Allen keys will, and a wrench, and some tapping, will get those muffler bolts off and take off the muffler so I can mount the engine properly. Got my Allen wrench here. It's pretty good. Just going to do some light tapping. Did you hear that crack? Broke through. Yes, that's rare. Muffler bolts are one of the hardest to get off because of the heat and the rust and the heat and the rust and the heat and the rust. It got fused on there for good. Wow, that's great. That's awesome. So I'll figure out another muffler setup. They're all not universal. You're going to find times where it just doesn't fit, you know. The 3/8 bolt over here to get the muffler off. And there we go. Our muffler is removed. So now I'm going to reposition this engine to where it needs to be. Just fell down. Gasket. There we go. There, now it's on there. I'm going to make sure that the crankshaft is centered in the hole. Okay, I just spent about half an hour trying to get that bolt in and the bolt over there. It's really tight, you know, because the mower deck top bracket is in the way, so I had to use a wrench instead of my driver or socket. It's tough, man. Now I'm going to put the other two in the left side. Hope I don't have any problems. So I got the left side bolts there. They were much easier than the other side. So now I'm addressing the fuel issue. This was on there. This was a condition of the hose. I have to run a new fuel line from here to the fuel tank. I just took the fuel tank off and blew it all out. It had a lot of black stuff in it, like plastic shavings or something. I don't know what it is. Drop this baby in there. I tested this fuel filter. It's good and clean. All right, perfecto. Of course, we don't even know if this engine runs, has compression, rods are not broken. We don't know the condition of this carburetor at all. But the only way you can find out is just by hooking up all the wires and the throttle, which I'm going to do soon. I don't know what I'm going to do about adapting it, because this machine has the separate choke lever and one throttle. So maybe I'll just adjust the throttle thing to just move forward so that it could choke, you know what I mean? And not use the throttle lever at all, because you can't. It's one system, one assembly. You know, push forward, that arm goes and pushes the choke open. So I'll just have to adjust it that way. So I've just attached the throttle cable to this, and it works great. So and that pushes the choke right there. Then once it starts, pull it down a little bit, releases the choke. There's just no click, you know, like your usual throttle where it choke, and then you can click, it clicks after half an inch down the throttle. So you just have to kind of estimate. But here's the choke cable here. I'm not going to be using that, so I'll probably just take it off or something. So fuel line's connected, throttle cable is connected, it seems okay. And then I was going to go and attach a battery to it. Look. Man, oh man. I found this extra cable, just going to cut it in half and attach it. Then we're going to work on the wiring, connecting the starter cable, which of course is also spliced. Thanks, Nick! And figure out the rest of the stuff. So, since we've got these spliced wires over here, right, to connect the battery, an old electrician friend of mine used to tell me how to do this properly, short of, well, soldering, you know what I'm saying? So, I'm not going to solder. So basically I just stripped about more than an inch, almost 2 inches worth, and I spread them apart. When you spread them apart, you then stick them in like this so that they mesh together, right? And you kind of like twist it around like this. And then you could use shrink wrap, the plastic shrink wrap over here, right? I'm just going to use electrical tape. The more of these strands that are bound together, the stronger it is. You know, instead of just going like this, you know what I mean? That's not going to work. So when you mesh the strands together, it makes a better contact point. Yeah, that's what he told me. Makes sense to me. And essentially, you know, they're all together like that, so you're just putting around a coating of rubber, just so that it doesn't touch any metal. But sometimes, you know, you don't have that much length, so fortunately I'm making them from scratch, so I have length. I'm going to get some electrical tape. So just tape the contact here. I just went all the way with the black because this was a red wire. I don't want to confuse myself, so I just went all the way to the end so I know it's black, negative. This part here I wasn't so lucky. It's very short, you know. I only had that much to play with. So I had no choice but just to do 1 inch, which is probably good enough. Matching 1 inch on this one too. Just going to bind these together. That's pretty good. Oh, and another setback. I connected these wires here. It could only go this way because this is a male to female and this is a female to male, so it could only go one way. I'm assuming this tractor had a Briggs in it, so it fits just perfectly. There is no wiring harness. This blue and green one goes to the front lights, and as I was just about to go and connect this to the starter, I noticed that there is no bolt onto the starter. So this starter is missing, like the wires have been pulled out. So this starter is Dunsky. As you notice, this is a plastic gear one. I believe I have an extra starter, thank goodness. I'm going to take off this piece here because it gets in my way and it serves no purpose anyway. I'm going to have to figure out what I'm going to do about a hood. Got this old starter that I rebuilt. I'm going to try it. torque bolts. Just want to hear that snap. That kind of snap, not the other kind of snap. The other kind of snap is a snap that means it's done. This is very difficult to get to. It doesn't even feel like it's gripping. See? It's like it's not even in there. Barely in there. Oh, damn it. Gonna have to find a wrench. Half-inch wrench. Got grips. Oh yeah. Thank God. Of course, I can never get one that's easy, right? I always have to get one where I have to do pretty much everything to it. Yeah, see, if you look in there, the wire's just all pulled out. Well, as long as I'm there, I'm going to clean it up a little. It's a little cleaner. So you see the dual circuit stator wires right here, the black one and the red one? That's going to go in between this little thing here so it doesn't get caught up with the flywheel. That's what they're worried about. So I'm just going to line up a hole here. Hello. Let's get it started and loop this over the two wires so that they're held down by that little clamp. That way the red and black wire don't get caught up in the flywheel as it's spinning. So difficult to get into that area, man. There you go. It's easy. Starters are actually very easy to put on. Wish it was that easy for cars. Well, you know what? Some cars are very easy to do. Some other cars are crazy. Like my Acura Legend, I just did my Acura Legend starter. I didn't want to do it myself because I heard it was like a 5-hour job. You have to drop the entire axle or something to get to it. It's crazy. So I paid my local guy. He has a shop around my neighborhood. I could walk to his shop, drop off my car, walk back, you know. Charged me $3.50, I think, for the labor. Gladly paid it. Alright. There's the starter. And that's how you replace your starter. So I'm going to tighten this up in a second. I just want to see if this reaches. Oh man, it barely reaches because this was so short. I should have made the wire longer. But you know what? It fits. And I'm going to have to go and find a bolt that fits that. tight too. To make sure you don't strip that inner wire circuit again, which is a major problem with this because you have to get a ground down 7/16 thing so it's nice and sharp, because most wrenches won't fit in this area. So you're turning and turning and then you're twisting it and you'll pull the wires right out of the circuit, which is why a lot of people mess up their starters. As a matter of fact, the one that we just pulled off of here, looks like that was it. That was the reason. Alright, that's pretty tight. I don't know if this is going to work, but we'll find out. I mean, there's so many safety switches on this thing, and I just don't think it's going to work. I tried the starter on the battery charger and it works, but who knows? You know what I mean? I'm going to now put a battery to this. Can you believe that? Huh? Hey, there's something wrong with this thing. Look at that rear wheel. It's turned in like it's bent. Oh, that's right. It's four-wheel steering. Cool. Is that like weird or what? So cool. So I got this battery. Nick gave it to me. I charged it overnight, so let's see if it has at least 12.4 volts, because that's what you need to start it. Nice. Look at that, huh? 12.6. It's a decent battery, believe it or not. Found a couple of nuts and bolts. Got that on. I don't know. I don't think anything's going to... So actually I'm pleasantly surprised. Why? Well, after installing the starter, I didn't think it would turn because I'm thinking there's so many unknown safety switches, right? You know what I mean? So it would be a miracle if I turned the key and that thing moved, which means that the ignition switch works, the solenoid works, the wiring works, right? But watch what happens when I turn the wheel. I turn the starter. So this starter I rebuilt a while back, right? And while I knew that after I rebuilt it, it would work, right? I thought the mechanism here, the ring gear, I thought it felt kind of like really hard to turn. You know what I mean? So it was like kind of gouged. The plastic was gouged there, and I kind of tried to smooth it out, but it's just not right. You know what I mean? It has to be super smooth. So unfortunately, I think the plastic, the inner plastic shaft sleeve, it has like a groove in a spiraling screw kind of a mold. It's kind of like off track. You know what I mean? It's dented and twisted and all that stuff. So it's not in good shape. So I took the, this is the old starter from this, right? Doesn't have the thing. And I took the pin out, and I've got the assembly all out like that. So it's the same thing. I'm just going to now, unfortunately, I have to take this off, right? Get that pin out, take this top part out, put that one in, and then we should be good to go. Okay, so I switched the gear from the bad one to the good one, and let's crank it and see if the engine cranks. Remember, there's no gas, but I just want to see if it cranks. Oh boy. It's retarded. Tighten that up. Okay, so I tightened that cable there. All right, you know it cranks. Let's check the Earl. Making progress, fellas. Took me all day just to get it to crank. I don't know, we had so many issues, you know what I mean? And I still don't have a muffler on there, right? It's gonna, if this thing is a miracle that it starts, right? Man, this thing's bone dry, man. I gotta put some Earl. SAE 30 Plus from my friends at Lucas Oil Products. I'm going to put the whole quart in here because I know it takes at least that. It takes about 1.3 or 1.2. It takes at least 1 quart, so I'm going to dump all of this in. Earl Campbell. Earl. Oh, son of a bitch. Leakage. PE. Alright, so this is 1 whole quart. It's not full, but it'll be good enough for us to try to crank this thing and see if we can start it. Got the Earl in there, so we feel like, oh boy, it's protected, you know. Okay, now I'm going to put some gasage in. Gasage. My battery's about to die. I just put some gasage in here. Let's give it a crank. Remember, it's going to be super loud because we have no muffler, if it even starts. Okay? I'm going to choke it. Man, that sounds great. Maybe I'll leave the muffler off. But how about that, man? First start, just like that. Started easily. And that's great. I'm stoked. I got to figure out what to do about the muffler, though. Well, we did a lot to this today. I can't even name you what we did today. You guys know what we did. It was plenty just to get this on here. But I need to figure out what I'm going to do about a muffler. So I couldn't stand it. I couldn't wait. I had to do it. My battery ran out on the camera. So this muffler was the stock muffler off of this engine, right? And it was just like the muffler itself was bent too much towards the rear, so that it would hit this part here and it wouldn't allow me to center the holes, you know, to get the pipe in. So I just took the muffler and I put it down, and it was like this, right? So I was just banging it and banging it and banging this pipe until it just bent just a little bit so that it could fit. So this is on there now, but it's, you know, it's touching the green part, you know, the frame. That's fine. Anyway, I found out that the right rear tire has a huge crack in it. Not a crack, well, it does have a crack, but it doesn't leak, you know. It actually has a puncture in just around the round part, you know, not the sidewall, but not the tread, you know, right there. So I put a plug in it. Looks like it's holding. Yeah. What else did I do? Oh yeah, so the muffler, I did that, and now I'm just putting on the pulley, the double step pulley, you know. So I didn't want to crawl underneath because I always try to be a little bit more safe, you know. That was after that accident that I had. This could have been a whole lot worse, you know what I mean? Because my artery is right here, and it literally just missed the artery. I mean, I could have just bled out. It was terrible, you know? So now I'm not complacent anymore. And I'm just, you know, if I don't have to be under there, I don't want to be under there. So normally I would jack it up and go under there and get my impact and impact the crank bolt in there and have the double stack pulley in there. But it's got to be really high up for me to use that, you know, because the impact wrench is already, you know, like a foot long, you know what I mean? So you'd have to get it in like that, you know, so it's tough, you know what I mean? So I'm doing the Donny Boy way. Donny Boy way? Here, I'll show you the Donny Boy way. So if you don't want to use an impact to put on that bolt, right? And all you want to do is just tighten it with like a socket, you know, ratchet. You don't want the flywheel to turn. So you take a rope, you know, like a pull rope, whatever, and stuff it in there. So that way, when you turn the flywheel, right, as I'm tightening the, what am I trying to say? As I'm tightening the bolt down there, the flywheel won't move along with it, because eventually the piston will touch the rope, right, and the rope will fill up the piston, or the cylinder, you know, and it won't go anywhere. So I'm just trying it right now. So I'm tightening it, and it's still rotating. So I'm going to keep on rotating it until the piston comes to the top and then fills up all that twine, you know, the rope, and then it has nowhere else to go, you know what I'm saying? There we go, right there, see? So now the piston is coming to the top and it's filling up where all that rope is bunched up. That's still moving. I guess I didn't put enough rope in there. It's still turning. Yeah, see? It's just continuously turning, so it's not really working. In the meantime, I took the spark plug out, and I'm replacing it with a brand new one. Not even used. I'm just going to stuff that rope in more. So it worked. I stuffed it all the way in, and I tightened it. Now the rope's back out again. Now I'll put the spark plug back in. So you know what's crazy is that I'm crawling underneath to put the mower deck belt over the double stack pulley, right? It's already over the drive. But man, how do you engage the PTO on this thing? You know what I mean? I mean, the belt just wraps around the two spindles and right around the double stack. There's no PTO handle. It's not an electronic PTO. The only shifting is the speed selector, slow, fast. Got the reverse and forward, right? On the dash, all you got is the throttle, the ignition. These aren't buttons. Ampere meter over there. Got a light switch and the choke, which I'm not using, right? This is the height of the thing and a safety bar, you know, that you, so it won't pop out of shape, you know, so it won't pop back down. But how do you engage the PTO on this thing? Are the blades on all the time? That's crazy talk, man. So then maybe I won't connect the blades yet. So it does appear that the belt is very loose when the height of the deck is all the way to the top, and then when you lower the deck, right, it engages the blades. So I guess when you're ready to mow, right, you put the blades down, the height of the mower deck down, and then it'll engage the blades by itself. I mean, I've never seen that before, but it was only the first time, I guess. Anyway, man, I'm gonna start this up and see if it runs, and I can go for a ride. All right, all right, all right. How about that, guys? Have you ever seen anything like it? I mean, I've seen stuff like it. I never actually had one, you know. Back in the early 90s, a girlfriend of mine, I wasn't dating her, just a friend who's a girl, she had that new, I want to say 1991 Honda Prelude four-wheel steering. It was yellow, two-door, and it worked just like this. It was absolutely fantastic. I absolutely loved it. And that was my first experience with a four-wheel steering, you know. But man, oh man, the turning is like butter, you know, really smooth and stuff, you know. Tomorrow I'm going to grease the fittings on everything. I really like this. I may never sell this, you know. I do have to straighten out that thing. You guys saw sparks were coming out, and I smelled some rubber, you know. So I guess that's how you engage the blades, is that once you take it off of the highest lever, which is 6, right? Once you take it to 5, it tightens the belts automatically as it lowers, right? And it turns it on, you know. That's not really safe, is it? But anyway, man, you know, either this hit something, whatever, and it's kind of bent, and so the blade's just touching, I'll just bend it out, whatever, and if that's the issue. But look at this. The paint just peels right off like that. Maybe if I just peel it all off, it'll have that natural rusted patina, and just keep it that way, you know? Oh, something I want to show you guys. So, as you can see, there ain't no hood, see? So, you guys remember my Craftsman LTV-10? That grill, that looks like a car, that grill? Anyway, I got rid of that LTV-10. I actually sold the transmission and the hood to somebody on eBay. He came from Pennsylvania to pick it up. But I kept the grill. I don't think I would ever sell the grill. So check this out. Holy cow. Cash me outside. How about that? Woo! Man, ideas be a-percolating in my brain. Anyway, thanks a lot to Nick for the tractor, and thanks a lot to my boy Joe Cardozo for the engine. The engine was, I mean, you know, it took some doing, but that engine's a nice sounding engine, man. And I absolutely love the tractor. I may never sell this. I mean, I'm gonna make this my own. You know what I'm saying? And I guess just ride it around the house or something. See you guys next time on Mowers and Blowers. Hey guys, support my channel, buy a sticker. Also follow me on Instagram @MowersBlowers. Check out my website, mowersblowers.com. See you guys on the next project. Have a great day. I want to thank you for all the support of Mowers and Blowers. If you'd like, make a short video clip like these, and I'll put it as an outro in my future videos.
See you guys next time on Mowers and Blowers.